the catch. It isn't just noodles and sauce. It's a factory formula built to survive years on a shelf and taste identical every time. That means starch thickeners, added fats, sugar to balance the acid, and preservatives to keep it safe. Doctors link higher consumption of ultra-processed foods with more diabetes, heart disease, and even higher mortality. So when you're already battling blood pressure or cholesterol, that little red can isn't helping. The sodium story alone is brutal. 1 cup of canned ravioli, around 740 milligrams of salt. Many cans, closer to 1,300. And you know nobody eats half a serving. For seniors on diuretics or AC inhibitors, that's half a day's sodium, or the whole budget, in one sitting. You can rinse beans to cut salt, but pasta drowning in sauce? You're stuck with it. Think the reduced sodium versions are safe? Not if you've got kidney issues. Many of them swap in potassium chloride, which sounds harmless until your meds make that extra potassium dangerous. Hyperkalemia, too much potassium in the blood, can trigger heart rhythm issues that no comfort food is worth. The label may whisper better for you, but for the wrong person, it's worse. And then there's the can itself. Acidic tomato sauce is a nightmare for BPA linings. The FDA shrugs at current levels, but Europe just tightened the safety bar by a factor of 20,000, citing immune system effects. Even BPA-free isn't a green light. Consumer Reports found other bisphenols like BPS still leaching in. Studies are tying them to heart risks and higher mortality. Not exactly what you signed up for with Tuesday night ravioli. Additives don't stop there. Sugar and corn syrup sneak in to make the sauce kid-friendly. Phosphate additives keep the meatballs tender, but quietly overload kidneys already working overtime. Nitrites? They're what make processed meats a known carcinogen. And if that weren't enough, the ingredient list hides allergens. Milk, soy, wheat, egg, and now sesame. That can make one wrong bite a trip to the ER. Even storage has rules the can won't tell you. Leave it in a hot garage at 100 degrees and you're cooking the chemicals right into your food. Open it and store leftovers in the fridge inside the can. That metal tang you taste is the lining breaking down. The fix is simple. Transfer it to a glass container, use it within a few days. But how many people really do that? Bottom line, canned pasta sells the memory of a safe, cheap meal, but every bite comes with a price. Salt shocks, chemical linings, sneaky sugars, and risks that only multiply as you age. The nostalgia is real. The safety, not so much. You've seen the cans that cut corners with your health, but not every aisle is out to get you. A few shelf-stable staples still hold their ground, and the first one might surprise you. At number 2 on the safe list, we've got canned beans. Budget-friendly, nutritious, and surprisingly heart-healthy. Canned beans. For all the noise about canned foods being dangerous, beans are one of the rare exceptions that actually play in your favor, if you know how to pick them and use them right. Here's why. Beans are considered low-acid foods. That means they're naturally more vulnerable to nasty spores like Clostridium botulinum. But when companies can them, they don't just boil them. They put them through a pressure cooking process called retorting, cranking temperatures up well above boiling into the 240 to 250 degrees Fahrenheit range. That blast of heat kills off the dangerous stuff and leaves the beans commercially sterile. Translation: if the can's intact, there's almost zero chance of botulism making its way into your chili. And here's the kicker. If something ever was wrong, you couldn't sniff it out. Botulinum toxin doesn't smell, doesn't look funny, and doesn't taste off. That's why the can itself is the safety check. Flat lids and tight seams? You're good. Bulges, leaks, or deep dents near the seams? That's where you walk away. No second chances. For seniors, canned beans are often safer than what you'll find behind the deli counter. Cold cuts, soft cheeses, and ready-to-eat salads sit in refrigerators where listeria can thrive. Beans, on the other hand, have already been blasted sterile and sealed shut. Once that can cools down, nothing new is sneaking inside until you open it. It's the difference between a locked vault and a fridge door that's constantly opening and closing. Of course, most people's real complaint isn't safety, it's salt. Canned beans can come packed with sodium, but that problem has a shockingly simple fix. Pour them into a strainer and rinse under running water for 10 to 30 seconds. Studies show that quick rinse cuts about 1/3 to nearly half the sodium instantly. That's the difference between a salty gut bomb and a heart-friendly protein source. And protein is just the start. Half a cup of beans delivers 7 to 9 grams of protein, 6 to 9 grams of fiber, plus potassium, iron, and folate. Doctors keep hammering on those nutrients because older adults often fall short, and beans put them all in one cheap, shelf-stable package. Swap out a fatty cut of beef for beans once in a while, and you'll drop cholesterol, steady blood sugar, and feed your gut bacteria with prebiotic fiber. Yes, beans can make you gassy, but even that's manageable. Start small, rinse them well, and let your gut adjust. The upside for your heart, brain, and digestion makes the short-term bloat worth it. Even the can lining has shifted in your favor. Most major brands now use BPA-NI linings. Regulators may argue about trace risks, but if you stick to BPA-free or BPA-NI labels and store cans somewhere cool, not in the garage during summer, you're minimizing exposure even further. Bottom line, as long as you inspect the can, drain and rinse, and keep storage smart, canned beans aren't just safe. They're one of the few canned foods that genuinely pull their weight in both safety and nutrition. And believe it or not, the next one is even more of a kitchen workhorse. Acidic, versatile, and safer than the fresh version in more ways than you'd guess. And finally, at number 1, canned tomatoes, the pantry staple that actually delivers flavor and antioxidants in every can. Canned tomatoes. Crack one open and you get that sharp hiss, the tangy aroma rising up without any mystery slime or bulge. That sound isn't just dinner, it's the sound of a product that was engineered to keep you safe. Here's why. Tomatoes are what food scientists call high-acid foods. That natural acidity, often boosted with a touch of citric acid during processing, keeps their pH below about 4.6. In plain English, the environment inside that can is too hostile for Clostridium botulinum, the bacteria behind botulism. Pair that with the industrial retort process, sealed cans heated to temperatures north of 240 degrees Fahrenheit, and you've got a product designed to lock out one of the deadliest toxins known to man. For seniors, that's a game changer. Because the foods that actually land older adults in the hospital aren't shelf-stable cans. They're the deli meats and soft cheeses sitting in cold cases where listeria can thrive. Tomatoes in cans don't live in that world. They're sterile, acidic, and sealed. As long as the can is intact, no bulges, leaks, or deep seam dents, the odds of danger are staggeringly low. That's the safety side. But the nutrition story is even more interesting. Processing doesn't strip tomatoes down. It actually unlocks more. Lycopene, the antioxidant pigment that makes tomatoes red, becomes easier for your body to absorb once heat and homogenization break those cell walls. Studies show you actually get more usable lycopene from canned sauce or paste than from a raw tomato slice on a sandwich. Add a drizzle of olive oil when you cook with it, and your absorption rate spikes even higher. For older adults watching blood pressure, sodium is the #1 catch. Some canned tomatoes come swimming in salt. The move here is simple. Grab no salt added versions and season it yourself. Those low sodium and very low sodium labels aren't marketing fluff. They're legally defined. Low sodium means 140 milligrams or less per serving. Very low means 35 milligrams or less. Get in the habit of scanning the nutrition facts box instead of trusting the front label. One more layer of truth. Potassium. Tomatoes are naturally rich in it, which is great for most hearts but can be an issue if you're on kidney meds or potassium-sparing drugs. Some low-sodium products swap in potassium chloride, listed now as potassium salt. If that's a concern, stick to plain tomato products without that add-in. And yes, the can lining. Most tomato cans today are labeled BPA-free or BPA-I, not intentionally added. That shift away from BPA epoxy happened because the acid in tomatoes could pull it out faster. Regulators may bicker about safe limits, but if you store your cans in a cool pantry instead of a hot garage, you're already minimizing risk. Cartons and glass jars are another option if you want to skip metal entirely. Bottom line, canned tomatoes are safe because they're acidic, sterile, and sealed. And they're good for you because processing makes their best nutrients easier to use. Pair them with olive oil, keep an eye on sodium, and you've got one of the smartest pantry staples an older household can buy. Don't let your pantry turn into a health hazard. Hit like if you found this breakdown useful, and subscribe now. I'll guide you to the foods that are safe, senior-friendly, and worth keeping on your shelf.